to this edition of News Today, a series in which we discuss and briefly analyze the important news of the day. Let's have a look at today's main headlines. India surpassed the Montreal Protocol targets as per a report by the MOEFCC and UNDP. India Meteorological Department forecasts a cyclonic storm named Cyclone Michaung. Asian Development Bank launches the Building Adaptation and Resilience in the Hindu-Kush Himalayas initiative. Study finds that empowered local governance is key for forest restoration and management. UK Biobank opens world's biggest set of human genome sequences to scientists. India's space regulator, the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre or INSPACE, launches the Seed Fund scheme. Starting with today's first news, India has surpassed the Montreal Protocol targets as per a report by MOEFCC and UNDP. The Montreal Protocol of 1987 is a global environmental treaty to eliminate the production and use of ozone-depleting substances and was implemented under the Vienna Convention, which was adopted in the year 1985. Now first let's discuss more about ozone and ozone-depleting substances. While ozone that is formed in the troposphere is harmful and called bad ozone, stratospheric ozone is considered good ozone and is found at 10 to 40 kilometers above the Earth's surface. This ozone protects Earth from the harmful UV radiation of the sun. Ozone-depleting substances or ODS are human-made chemicals containing chlorine and bromine like chlorofluorocarbons or CFCs, hydrochlorofluorocarbons or HCFCs, and tetrachloride. HCFCs are often employed as refrigerants in the production of new equipment. These chemicals undergo catalytic reactions after reaching the stratosphere that depletes the stratospheric ozone. Moving on, in 2016, Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol was adopted to phase down the production and consumption of hydrofluorocarbons or HFCs. HFCs are non-ozone depleting substances that are used as alternatives to CFCs and HCFCs, but their global warming potential is thousands of times that of carbon dioxide. Now coming back to the news, the report states that India has exceeded the 35% HCFC phase-out goal, achieving a 44% reduction from the 2020 baseline. And it has also eliminated HCFC 141b, which is used as a blowing agent in the production of rigid polyurethane foam. India will also phase out the use of HCFCs in new equipment manufacturing completely by December 2024, ahead of the Montreal Protocol schedule of 2030. These achievements can be attributed to India's various initiatives to address ozone depletion, which includes ratification of Vienna Convention and Montreal Protocol, a 3-stage HCFC phase-out management plan, the India Cooling Action Plan, which aims to provide access to sustainable cooling, and establishment of an ozone cell in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change.
In another news, the India Meteorological Department has forecasted a cyclonic storm named Cyclone Michaung. As per the IMD, the Cyclone Michaung has intensified into severe cyclonic storm and would make landfall in coastal districts of Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. The name Michaung was proposed by Myanmar, which signifies resilience and fortitude. The IMD issues color-coded alerts for upcoming weather events and their severity. Green is for having no advisory, yellow to be aware, orange to prepare, and red is to take action. Let's understand more deeply about cyclones. It is a large-scale system of air that rotates around the center of a low-pressure area. The National Disaster Management Authority classifies cyclones into two, tropical and extratropical cyclones. The tropical cyclones develop in regions between tropics of Capricorn and Cancer and move from east to west. The extratropical cyclones, on the other hand, which are also known as mid-latitude cyclones because they occur outside tropics and move from west to east. Extratropical cyclones are low-pressure systems associated with cold, warm, and occluded fronts. Front is a boundary between two air masses of different temperatures. Coming back to the tropical cyclones, for their formation, certain conditions are required. These include the large sea surface temperature, which is higher than 27 degrees centigrade, and the presence of Coriolis force. They are also known as hurricanes in the Caribbean Sea and Gulf of Mexico and typhoons in the western North Pacific. While tropical cyclones can only originate over the sea, the extratropical cyclones can originate over both land and sea.
In another news, the Asian Development Bank has launched the Building Adaptation and Resilience in the Hindu Kush Himalayas initiative. The Asian Development Bank, or ADB, headquartered in Manila, Philippines, was established in the year 1966. It envisions a prosperous, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable Asia and the Pacific while sustaining its effort to eradicate extreme poverty in the region. The bank helps its members and partners by providing loans, technical assistance, and grants, among other things. It has 68 members, including India, and the 5 largest shareholders of the bank are Japan, the US, each with 15.6% of total shares, China with a 6.4% share, India with a 6.3% share, and Australia with a 5.8% share. Coming back to the news, the initiative will help equip Bhutan and Nepal with essential information and enable them to invest in effective climate adaptation. It will also facilitate understanding of risk, decision-making on disaster risk reduction, adaptation measures, and risk transfer solutions, including insurance. As per ADB, the Hindu Kush Himalayan region is warming faster than the global average, and 75% of glaciers in Bhutan and Nepal could melt by the end of century if the global temperature rises 3 degrees Celsius. Economic losses in the region from disaster totaled $45 billion from the year 1985 to 2014, which is more than any other mountainous region in the world. The Hindu Kush Himalaya extends from the Hindu Kush valleys in Afghanistan to the hill and mountain systems of Myanmar. The region is quite important as it is home to largest ice reserves outside the polar regions, feeds 10 major rivers including the Ganga, and sustains the livelihoods of billions of people. Given its importance, a number of initiatives have been taken to protect the region, like the International Center for Integrated Mountain Development, which is an intergovernmental institution working towards climate-resilient Hindu Kush Himalaya. The center also coordinates a Hindu Kush Himalayan monitoring and assessment program, and the National Mission on Sustaining Himalayan Ecosystem, which was launched by India as part of the National Action Plan on Climate Change.
In another news, a study finds that empowered local governance is key for forest restoration and management. A new study shows that empowering local communities through formalized community forest management leads to effective management and restoration of forests. Let's understand more about community forest management. It is a practice in which indigenous people and local communities manage forest in harmony with nature. After Odisha in 2016, Chhattisgarh became the second state to acknowledge community forest resource rights within the Kangar Ghati National Park in 2022. In India, the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Act 2006 or the Forest Right Act provides for the recognition of right to protect, regenerate or conserve or manage community forest rights. It is a significant practice as it encourages participation by rural people whose livelihood depends mainly on forest resources. Also, it strengthens collective rights of local communities through participation in decision making and equitable benefit sharing. It also aids in preventing deforestation and forest degradation and contributes to climate stability and justice to forest-dwelling communities. In addition to this, it ensures food security, proper land tenure, and sustainable livelihoods. Having said this, there are certain challenges associated with community forest management. These include the lack of technical and administrative capacity, non-clear demarcation of boundaries, and unsustainable use such as commercial fuel wood head loading. Moving on to the next news, the UK Biobank has opened world's biggest set of human genome sequences to scientists. The UK Biobank has shared complete genome sequences from its 5 lakh British volunteers which could be accessed by scientists for research. Let's understand more about genome and its sequencing. The genome is the entire set of DNA instructions found in a cell. In humans, it comprises 23 pairs of chromosomes, which are thread-like structures of DNA in cell's nucleus and a small chromosome in cell's mitochondria. DNA, which stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, is the molecule that carries genetic information for the development and functioning of an organism. DNA contains unique chemical codes determined by the order of adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. These are the 4 nucleotide bases present in the DNA. Now, having understood about the DNA, it will be easier to understand genome sequencing. It refers to figuring out the order of DNA nucleotides in a genome. Let's have a look at some of the key initiatives for human genome sequencing. These include the Human Genome Project, which was launched in 1990 and completed in 2003 and covered about 92% of total human genome sequence. In 2022, the Telomere to Telomere Consortium sequenced the entire human genome. Also, the Genome India project and the Indigen program have been launched by India in this regard.
Moving on, India's space regulator, the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Centre or INSPACE, launched the Seed Fund scheme. INSPACE is an independent nodal agency under the Department of Space to stimulate private investment and innovation in the space industry. It acts as an interface between ISRO and non-governmental entities. Coming back, the Seed Fund scheme supports startups in collaboration with the National Remote Sensing Center of ISRO, operating in areas of urban development and disaster management using space technology. Startups in urban development focus on areas like urban planning, telecom, navigation, broadband, and water management. Similarly, disaster management offers opportunities for startups in geographical information system, early warning and monitoring systems, and climate change monitoring. The scheme will provide financial assistance of up to 1 crore in addition to mentorship support, training, and networking opportunities. The main objectives of the scheme are to facilitate the development of new and innovative technologies in the space sector and to provide opportunities for private players to leverage space technology for societal benefits. India has also taken some other initiatives for private sector participation in space, like the Space Tech Innovation Network or SPIN, which is a public-private collaboration for startups and small and medium enterprises in the space industry. The Indian Space Policy of 2023, which opens up the space tech sector for enhanced private participation, and lastly, the Indian Space Association. Before moving on, let's take a brief look at the status of the Indian space startup sector. The sector has seen an increase in funding from Rs 28 million in 2020 to Rs 112 million in 2022 due to factors like rising demand for cost-effective satellite manufacturing and reduced launch costs. As per Space Tech Analytics, as of 2021, India is the 6th largest player in the industry internationally, having 3.6% of the world's space tech companies.
The personality in news for today is Shri Ramasamy Venkataraman. Recently, the birth anniversary of 8th President of India, Shri Venkataraman, was observed. He was born at Rajmadam, Tamil Nadu. He was an active participant in the Quit India movement of 1942 and was detained for 2 years for his activities. In 1944, he established many labor unions for the welfare of the labor force. Later, he became a member of the Constituent Assembly and in 1952, he was elected to the first parliament. Also, he served as Vice President of India. He exhibited certain values like integrity, compassion, tolerance during his lifetime.
As we conclude today's main news, let's go through some quick updates. Central Universities Amendment Bill 2023 was introduced in Lok Sabha to establish a Samakka Sarakka Central Tribal University in Telangana. Samakka and Sarakka, a mother-daughter duo, fought against levy of taxes on tribal people during drought conditions by the then Kakatiya rulers in 12th century. The Employees State Insurance Corporation bags International Social Security Association Vision Zero 2023 Award at 23rd World Congress on Safety and Health at Work in Sydney, Australia. The International Social Security Association, headquartered at Geneva, Switzerland, was founded in 1927 under auspices of International Labour Organization. It is the world's leading international organization for social security institutions, government departments, and agencies. African leaders launched Africa Green Industrialization Initiative at the 28th Conference of Parties. The initiative aims to accelerate the green growth of industries in Africa and attract finance and investment opportunities. Ministry of Coal has proposed 579 hectares of reclaimed land under the accredited compensatory afforestation program. The program, introduced under Forest Conservation Rules of 2022, is a system of proactive afforestation to obtain approval for non-forestry use of forest land. 24th edition of Hornbill Festival began at Naga Heritage Village, Kisama of Nagaland. Since 2000, the festival is organized annually in first week of December by Government of Nagaland. US, Germany and Colombia are country partners and Assam is partner state for this year's edition. Volcanic eruptions in Indonesia occurred at Mount Merapi on the island of Sumatra and not at Mount Merapi, which is on the island of Java as reported earlier. Merapi's eruptions happen suddenly and are hard to predict. Scientists used mitochondrial DNA to trace the origins of mummified baboons in ancient Egypt. Mitochondrial DNA is a circular chromosome found in a cellular organelle called mitochondria. Mitochondria are the site of the cell's energy production and other metabolic functions, also known as the powerhouse of the cell. World's first portable hospital, Arogya Maitri Aid Cube, was unveiled in Gurugram, Haryana. It is a modular trauma management and aid system designed for rapid deployment in mass casualty incidents, whether in times of peace or war. Before we go, it's time to put your knowledge to the test in today's segment of Test Your Learning. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this edition of News Today. To get the answers to today's quiz and to download the PDF of News Today, make sure to check out the links in the description below.